Start at noon. How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
There she is. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. Commissioner, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with the Board of Managers. All that in order. I'll note for the record, I got a call from Commissioner Notarianni yesterday who told me there was a possibility that he would be called out of town today and might not be here. His absence confirms that he's called out of town, so he's not here. Mr. DeVillio's here, and Sheriff, District Attorney, and Commissioner Cummings is here. So.
I'm sure Commissioner O'Malley's here.
Commissioner O'Malley. He's here?
Yeah, he's here somewhere. We have a majority, right?
Well,
Yeah, we have a-
You want to go? All right, we're going to start. Because I'm in the middle of a trial, and I don't want to keep those people waiting, so. Start with the Board of Managers. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. I trust everybody received the minutes electronically and had a chance to review them.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We'll take the Juvenile Detention Center report.
Good afternoon. Currently, we have 4 juveniles housed at the facility. September admissions were at 14. Year-to-date is at 108. Days of service thus far for the year is 176. For the month of September, year-to-date, 1,059. No extra costs for housing juveniles at this time. September overtime was at $6,071.99. The breakdown is below, for a total of 206 hours of overtime. 3 out of my 5 3 to 11 staff members are out on FMLA, which is incurring overtime.
Is that why you have the increase in overtime, is because of the FMLA?
Yes. And the 5th task force meeting was held on October 13th. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll take any public comments.
Joan Hodawan, it's 220 Linden Street, Scranton. Speaking of the Juvenile Detention Center, this is an article from 2014 out of the Times Tribune. Faces of Life. Library Express to display masks created by Juvenile Detention Center residents. Back then, apparently, the residents made these papier-mâché masks, which were pure works of art. And you can see these masks right now, one of the walls up at the Library Express in the marketplace at Steamtown. But these masks are going to be displayed again, first Friday, November 3rd, at St. Luke's Church. So if any of the public would like to see some of the good things done at the Juvenile Detention Center, come to First Friday, or just go up to the Library Express on the 2nd floor of the mall. You can see these masks. I think it's about time you got some good publicity.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you very much.
Is it going to be all day at St. Luke's?
No, it's during the hours of First Friday.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much. Any other business from the members on the Board of Managers? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Now we'll go to the prison board. Call that to order. Likewise, with these minutes, I trust everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from last month's meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The meeting minutes are approved. All right. Anybody from the public wish to address only the agenda items at this point? Okay. So next on the agenda is a motion to approve all current payables for the Community Corrections Center, Juvenile Detention Center, and the prison, item 17-1046. I trust everybody received those in advance of today's meeting and had an opportunity to review them. If so, I'll entertain a motion. On the question.
On the question, how much overtime was expended in this payables, Controller DeBilio?
I will have to look into that for you, Commissioner. If anyone from my staff might have that information. Yeah, we have to look that up for you.
Do we have a total amount on the overtime that's expended for the prison for the past 2 weeks?
That's going to be in the warden's report, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else on the approval of the motion? Okay, take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. All right, we'll take the controller's report.
The Controller's Office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of September of 2017, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $339,574.08 as of September 30th of 2017. The balance in the canteen checking account was $461,476.44 as of September 30th of 2017, and in addition, as of that same date, the canteen account owned 2 certificates of deposit, one valued at $15,000 and the other at $131,822.78, totaling $146,822.78. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the controller?
Thank you for your work, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. DeVillio. I'll entertain a motion to approve the controller's report. Second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Controller's report is approved. We'll move to the Community Corrections Center report. Mr. Jeffers.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
Community Corrections Report for the month of September in 2017. Item 1, our program totals. Male work release had 55 participants. Female work release had 7 participants. Adult house arrest had 170 participants, and juvenile house arrest had 24. Item 2, our program's revenues for the month of September totaled $74,581.75. Item 3, our program's expenses totaled $90,755.67. Item 4, our program's completions. Work release had 8, house arrest had 36. Item 5, our program's violations. Work release had 5, house arrest had 8. Item 6, our program's warrants. Work release has 8, house arrest has 2. And item 7, our budget report for the year. Overtime is at 83%, expenses are at 73%, and revenue is at 82%. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. Jeffers? Thank you, Mr. Jeffers. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Community Corrections Center report.
So moved.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries and the report is approved. We'll move to Warden Betty and for the warden's report.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
The average daily in-house population for the month of September was 969 inmates. Please see the attached charts regarding the overtime report, the out-of-county board report, and the community service program participation report. And I'll go off script for a half second. Just, Commissioner, just so you know, I have that amount, the last pay period, the overtime for the pay period 9/20 to 10/3 was $81,587.11. Staffing update. Currently, our corrections officers' numbers break down to 169 uniformed staff on shift, 1 out on workers' compensation, 27 with intermittent FMLA, that's 15% of the correctional officer population, 3 other, and 7 vacancies for a total of 180 officers. The budget, as of September 30th, revenue is at 76%, and expenses are at 69%. Juvenile inmates. Currently, we are housing 4 juveniles, 3 are males, and 1 is a female. Inmates at or past their minimum date, the total number is 31. 12 have no home plan. 6 are in our community service program working to get into work release to develop that home plan. 5, parole has been denied due to an unacceptable home plan. 2 have submitted their home plans and they're awaiting parole, and 6 have been remanded for the balance of their sentence. Extraordinary occurrence reports. There were 3 extraordinary occurrences since the last prison board meeting. On 9/27, a county inmate was placed into the restraint chair after resisting and insulting an officer during a cell change. On 10/6, a county inmate was placed into the restraint chair for his own safety. He was observed banging his head repeatedly off his cell door. The same inmate was later ordered into 4-point humane restraints by the psychiatrist. On 10/15, a county inmate was placed into the restraint chair for her own safety. She was found to be attempting to remove her IV. PREA, there were 4 allegations of inmate PREA violations since our last meeting. 2 were deemed unsubstantiated and 2 were deemed founded. Commissary RFP update. We've submitted final requirements to the 3 companies who have expressed interest in the commissary contract and are awaiting their best and final offers. Once received, the best and final offers will be evaluated and the prison board will be provided with a recommendation. Food service RFP update. The food service RFP has been advertised and we anticipate receiving responses for the next prison board meeting. We will evaluate all responses that are received and provide a recommendation as soon as it can be accomplished. Medical services RFP update. The RFP has been advertised and interested companies have been provided with a mandatory tour of the medical department. The prison is in the process of providing answers to questions that have arisen out of that tour, and we continue to target October 31st as a proposal submission deadline. We'll evaluate all submissions that are received and provide a recommendation to the board as soon as possible. And finally, I'd like to share a thank you letter the prison received from the mother of a former inmate. The mother of this individual wanted to thank the prison and in particular Counselor Michelle Barnard for assisting with helping her son get into a long-term treatment facility to combat his opioid addiction. I bring this to the board's attention because I too would like to thank everyone at the prison who assists in helping individuals find their way. It's not often we get a thank you, but it's much appreciated. I have redacted any personal information in the attachment that you have, the letter attachment, for confidentiality reasons. And this concludes my report.
Any questions for the warden?
I have a few. Warden, first of all, congratulations on your home plan numbers. That's extremely good work there, significant decrease, and that really good job. You should be proud of yourself on that. Second of all, can you explain why so much overtime is being utilized in the prison today?
Yes, we have 7 vacancies and we have several officers who are out on administrative leave. Our salary line item is way down. We have $12.6 million budgeted for salary, and as of October 3rd, we've spent 5.6 or 6.6. I wrote it down.
It's okay, take your time.
6.6 million. We spent 52% of our salary in 3/4 of a year. So the salary's way down. but the overtime is up a bit.
Right, but isn't it true that we have all full-time employees at the prison?
Yes.
There is no part-time.
There's
So
part-time
anytime-
receptionists, that's it.
So anytime somebody calls off of work, you will have to utilize a full-time worker, which will result in overtime, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just so the public is aware of that. And also, we did have the opportunity to negotiate for 6 officers, correction officers in the prison. How are we making out with hiring any of those?
I've received, in recent weeks, I've received 2 applications for individuals for part-time. Unfortunately, again, with my hands tied with the collective bargaining agreement between the union and the county, those individuals don't meet the minimum requirements for employment at the county prison.
What would the minimum requirements be?
They would have to, first and foremost, they would have to be Department of Corrections certified in correctional work, and they're not that.
Now, when you're speaking of COs, those 6 are referring to part-time?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, so that's what has my hands tied, is we do have people that are interested in the part-time positions, but it's really rare to find somebody that's already been employed with some correctional facility and received certification from the Department of Corrections. Essentially, that means a retired person, unless it's somebody who moved.
but I thought we changed the wording on that back in February.
They've broadened the criteria to extend who was eligible, but it still has parameters as to who they can.
Could you say that on, I'm sorry, could you say that on the mic so ECTV can get you?
I believe initially the positions were limited to former county employees. We weren't able to locate anybody that fit what we were permitted in the collective bargaining agreement. They renegotiated. I think they went back to the arbitrator and expanded who they could employ in those
Right.
positions, but there were still qualifications and certain criteria, and that's the DOC certification, things like that. So they're still not finding people that fit within those, even those broadened parameters.
So they have to be DOC certified?
Yes.
I thought the 2 that applied were, at least,
No, they weren't.
oh. Is that in the advertise, do we have that listed on our website that they have to be DOC certified?
I
Trace?
don't know.
You know, is HR here? No, Justin's not here? I mean, you know, you don't want to waste somebody's time either if they're not, it should be up there on the website that they have to be DOC certified. And so, continued overtime is going to be the norm at the prison because of the fact there are no part-time workers there.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continually cost the county all the time in regards to this. And I think that that's something that, I mean, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it at every meeting because it needs to be fixed. And this is taxpayers' dollars that we're spending. And, you know, $20 million, $21 million in taxpayers' money is a lot of money that is unnecessarily spent, in my opinion. And obviously, no business would survive with a $20 million deficit every year, and it continues to go up, especially if we're going to have raises, and it'll be a significant increase. So thank you for your information, thank you for the work, and I appreciate you answering my questions.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the warden? Thank you, Warden. I'll
Thank you.
entertain a motion to approve the warden's report.
So moved. Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The warden's report is approved. So now we'll open it up to the public. Anybody wishes to address the board?
Joan Hodawana, 220 Linden Street, Scranton. We've identified 6 people who have volunteered to manage a library for the prison. I'd like to ask the warden or Deputy Warden Langen, have we scheduled the training sessions they require at the prison? And if so, when are those training sessions?
We are trying for Saturday. I was waiting to hear from
Saturday
Bev.
the 21st or?
This Saturday coming up.
Okay.
I talked with Bev, and she's trying to get everybody together to attend that training.
Okay, because we're ready to provide the service. And my other question is, has any progress been made reinstituting a GED program at the prison?
Progress is coming, Joan. We're in the process of obtaining a number of tablets, and the GED materials are not published anymore, it's my understanding, in hard copy. They're only available digitally. So for the inmates to get the preparation materials for the test itself, and I believe the test itself is even digital, we have to have means for the prisoners to participate in it. The warden, I think, can speak to some of the in greater detail to it, but we've been actively involved in some negotiations with a provider for the tablets, and it's going to take a couple of months, but
I would still like to see progress made down that line, because I think that's a win-win.
You and I are on the same page on
Yeah.
that. I told the warden that it's a priority of mine to get the GED program reinstituted. I'm trying to be mindful of concerns like Commissioner Cummings has in terms of expense, and I think the program that we're pursuing is going to be able to accomplish both goals, not incurring a lot of expense, in fact, even maybe generating some revenue, and getting the prisoners in a position to take the GED exam.
If there's any way, as we set up this library, that we can supplementary materials to support their training, or even if there are old GED materials they can use for self-study. They may be out there, just hanging around in people's attics and garages. Any way that a library program can reinforce the GED program, we'll do it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll look forward to using you.
Rohume, 738 Taylor Avenue, Scranton. I've just helped a friend of mine prepare for the GED. I was able to get copious printed materials and guidebooks off Amazon for a very small amount of money. Possibly we could include those in the library that we hopefully will get open, but I was able to find very effective GED printed material. Click of a button.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Stephanie Bressler from 1402 East Gibson Street in Scranton, and I am representing Progressive Women of Northeast Pennsylvania today. I'm sharing with you a letter that we are submitting to the board regarding the RFP for inmate medical care. For almost a year, members of Progressive Women of Northeastern Pennsylvania have been monitoring the situation for women at the Lackawanna County Prison and attending prison board meetings. Since March of this year, members of Progressive Women have requested that inmate medical services at the Lackawanna County Prison be put out to bid. Needless to say, we were very interested in the RFP for comprehensive inmate health services that was published on September 20th of this year. The fact that the RFP for comprehensive inmate health care services was a total of 18 pages, while the RFP for inmate food service management, and we can provide the reference number for both, was 41 pages in length. It increased our interest in the RFP for health services, which has no RFP number. Reading the comprehensive inmate health services RFP left us with numerous concerns, both in what it requests and what it does not request of respondents. Key concerns with what is requested include the RFP on page 3 objective calling for the respondent to, quote, operate the healthcare program in a humane manner with respect to the inmate's right to basic healthcare services, end quote. The standard of care is the minimum guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. We are confident that the community standard of care serves much better the inmates, prison staff, county taxpayers, and community at large. This higher standard of care is more than a social justice issue. It is pragmatic, too. A higher standard of care can avoid or reduce costs of litigation. Research also indicates that this higher standard of care is capable of improving individual and public health while controlling costs. A higher standard of care also assists in the successful transition of inmates back to the community with decreased chances of reincarceration. This benefits the inmate and the community. Second concern, the requirement that the respondent must be an organization for the primary purpose of providing comprehensive health care services within correctional facilities, which is on RFP page 4. This requirement clearly shrinks the pool of eligible respondents by eliminating respondents who may indeed be able to deliver high-quality healthcare services that can be audited against established standards and in compliance with standards established by the National Commission on Correctional Health and obtain NCCHC or ACA accreditation. To meet these standard objectives of the RFP on page 3, a responder does not need to currently provide comprehensive healthcare services within correctional facilities. A third concern, the RFP specifies that only women inmates are to be tested for gonorrhea. This seems to be an arbitrary and discriminatory policy. Fourth concern, the hours required for physician availability is a minimum of 18 hours weekly. We question how the minimum can meet the demands of the prison population. On what information and standards of care was this minimum availability established? Key concerns that are raised due to lack of specificity in what is requested. The first, the RFP should specify that it is the NCCHC standards for prisons, not jails, which should be met. Given that the Lackawanna County Prison houses federal, state, and county inmates for periods up to 5 years, the standard for prisons is the appropriate standard to be used by the county prison. Another concern, although the RFP calls for the health services provider to operate in a, quote, cost-effective manner with full reporting and accountability to the warden and his or her designee, end quote, it does not specify a means by which the medical decisions will be assessed for their quality or effectiveness. That is, the RFP should require the respondents' proposals to include a plan for independent medical oversight of the direct care physicians and medical staff to assure quality and effective care. Another concern, although some specific testing screening of inmates is specified in the RFP, for example, TB, syphilis, and AIDS, HIV, other routine blood work, such as screenings for diabetes and thyroid problems, are left to the discretion of the physician. What is the justification for drawing the line between required and discretionary screening where it is? It seems arbitrary and not supportive of the request to provide comprehensive health care services. A final concern, hours of sick call are left to the discretion of the medical department. We believe there should be more specific requirements for sick call, minimum hours per week with increases made based on changes in the size of the inmate population or the number of inmate requests to be seen by a physician, or some other treatment demand-based calculation in order to ensure that the standards of care established by the RFP are met. To ensure the selection process is fair and open, as the RFP claims it will be, we request that submissions be opened at a public meeting that has been publicly advertised in advance. We also request that no person involved in the selection process has accepted any campaign contributions from any principal, owner, senior executive, or shareholder in the bidding organization. Thank you in advance for allowing us to share this letter and for considering with due diligence our concerns and requests. We include the signatures of members of the Progressive Women of Northeast Pennsylvania and other concerned community members on the attached sheets. And I am submitting to you more than 30 signatures, including our steering committee and members of our organization, as well as other interested community members. And I'll share that with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a, who's that, Dr. Breslin, is that her name? Excuse me.
Dr. Bressler.
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings,
I was just curious to know, you're a doctor, could you tell me
I'm
what?
a PhD.
PhD?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a medical physician.
Okay. Are there medical physicians signed on to this list?
There are no medical physicians that I'm aware of on that list.
You know, if you...
Medical professionals.
Right. If you would like, when you write up something like this, I'd be happy to sit down with you to maybe even eliminate, because some of these areas I can answer for you myself, so it might have saved some time for you. And I'd be happy to sit down with you to do that. So I will make sure that I share my information with the board. After I read this, I'll write up my response to them and to you as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Roe Hume, 738 Taylor Avenue, Scranton. I represent the Northeastern Pennsylvania NEPA Healthcare Defenders Coalition. We endorse totally everything PW NEPA has said. If it's concerning to Commissioner Cummings, we have several members who are medical professionals who will happily present something which emphasises our concern, which is cutting corners financially on providing medical care is one of the worst examples of don't pay now, pay later. Both paying in litigation, where we have cases where people receive inadequate health care and the county winds up having to pay, as we've done recently, but also in the management of chronic pain, chronic diabetes, chronic illnesses, short-term things. If the medical service is focused on a bottom line for-profit thing, which is nothing wrong with that, sometimes it has to be a balance between what is most cost-effective for the county, what is in the long-term best interests of the inmates receiving the care. And I totally endorse, and our organisation totally endorses PW NEPA's request that these submissions be open to the public, be open at a public meeting, and that no one with any connection, either a campaign contribution or any other connection, be involved in the selection process. Thank you.
the only comment I'm going to make about that last thing that you said is that the prison board is comprised of, by statute, elected officials in the county. So, you know, the recommendation is going to be made to us. So if you remove the elected officials, then you don't have anybody to make the selection.
Oh, wasn't removing elected officials, just asking elected officials with connections to and accepted campaign contributions from people with.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know of any elected officials who don't receive campaign contributions.
Oh, no, I meant from the people involved in the process.
I understand.
apologize for not having been
I
clear.
understand.
People who are putting forward proposals to provide the services, that arm's length transparency would be enormously reassuring to our members.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Beth Ann Zero. I live at 213 Chestnut Street in Dunmore. So I am a Lackawanna County resident. I'm also a business owner in Dunmore. I am related to guards who work at the prison. I am also friends with people who are incarcerated in other prisons. And it is because of the relationships with family and friends that it seemed necessary that reform was beyond necessary in our area. So I helped co-found the group NEPA Prison Advocates, which is a group I know you've heard before, but we've never actually introduced ourselves at a meeting before. So I apologize for that.
What's the name of that? I didn't hear you.
NEPA Prison Advocates.
Welcome.
Thank you. And what we do is provide an umbrella for a variety of other groups. There's been a lot of people doing great work, just like progressive women have been in coming to these meetings. We have people who come to our meetings together from a lot of different organizations throughout all of NEPA, hence the name. And we have meetings here in Scranton. We have meetings down in Luzerne County as well. We have had great representation through some of our subgroups. So now this is the first time we have representation as the group in a whole. And our standing is that through making major changes through the entire correctional system, that it doesn't just benefit inmates, because we're not claiming that all inmates are angels. We are looking to benefit the society as a whole, because with a recidivism rate as high as what we have right now, here we have all these people who are coming out who don't know a different way of life. And what's going to happen is they're going to return to their old way of life. And what that does is it creates another burden on our society. And it creates burden on the prison system. And if we can instill good training programs like the GED program that we're working towards now, and if we could provide really good return choices for people who are being released. And it's because of that that we have been discussing with St. Luke's about instilling a bakery and cafe that would hire people who are coming out of prison and give them training and give them something to work towards. So we've been working towards that. We've been sitting in on Judge Vanaski's care court at the federal building to seeing what kind of return group do they have helping people who are returning to society, and trying to figure out how can we spread that as well. We are hosting the first Friday at St. Luke's that was already mentioned with those masks. We have artwork that I'll be putting up from 2 different inmates from the Dallas prison, SCI Dallas, and it's called Pyrrhic Defeat. And we would love for everybody to come and see what these inmates are representing. We have speakers coming for that night. We have Ernie Priet coming to speak. We have a professor from Wilkes University coming to speak. We have individuals from our group who are going to speak. We have letters from the inmates that will be read at the event. So that will be the first Friday, November 3rd, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you'll be able to learn more about our group if you're able to attend. We would really appreciate that. And our goal is to work together to try to make things as best as possible for everybody. The overtime at the prison has been a huge concern of mine because of my family members who end up working 3 double shifts a week. Nobody should have to work over 80 hours a week. And it happens on a regular basis, and I see them trying to raise families. Our goal is to help people realize that the people who are incarcerated are mothers and fathers and daughters and sons. They are humans just like us. And it is because of that that we would like to see medical care be what we would expect for our family members, because they are our family members. I think that pretty much gives you a good idea of what our group is about. We're looking at, of course, the transparency and accountability here through these meetings. We are looking for training programs for people who are incarcerated to help them to return to society, and we're all about helping them return as well. So thank you for letting me speak today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was your name again, please?
My name is Beth Ann Zero.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh, and I also have a copy of that same letter that Dr. Bressler turned in, but this one is signed by members of NEPA Prison Advocates from our recent meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And we thank you for your interest and your support. I'm familiar with Judge Vanaski's program, and it's a wonderful program. I know some members who helped Judge Vanaski with that, and a former colleague of mine in the U.S. Attorney's Office, Al Murray, who's involved in that, and they do a wonderful job.
It was fascinating to sit in on. It
Yes.
really was.
Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, are there, okay.
My name is Ben Lewandowski. I'm actually a resident of Wayne County at 1023 Main Street, but I'm a student in Lackawanna County here in Scranton. And I just wanted to share with the board that for about 6 months, I've been offering a yoga and meditation program at SCI Waymart. It's been very successful. And inmates have returned week after week, and I'm also in the process of researching myself the effects of mindfulness and mind-body practices on lowering recidivism and violence in institutions. I'm a person in addiction recovery and bring that experience to it, so I just wanted to share that experience and offer that service, potentially to be introduced in Lackawanna either by myself or a colleague of mine. I'm working on creating a coalition of meditation and yoga teachers who are interested in working in corrections facilities.
That's great. Thank you very much. Where are you in school?
Lackawanna College.
Okay. Well, I'd ask you if you have a minute to stick around after the meeting, and maybe you can give the warden your contact information and maybe the person that you're dealing with at Waymart too, so we can talk to them. But I think
absolutely
it's something that has some promise to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else from the public? Okay, any members?
Yes, I have a few things.
Any business?
I do, Chairman.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that came in to discuss some of the issues that they're talking about. In regards to NEPA prison advocates, I've been trying to get a training program. I believe we have a huge unemployment problem in our area, and I had talked to Commissioner O'Malley about this, and I've never brought it up in a board meeting, but with your coming into the meeting and discussing that issue, it seems like the perfect opportunity to do so. So, thank you. And, some of the farmers in our area are having a really difficult time finding employment. Is there a way that we can somehow help them out and help out our prisoners at the same time and giving them, because some of them don't even know what it's like to have a job, and they don't even, we should be helping them to initiate, proper protocol in getting up. Even Commissioner O'Malley says this, they don't even know how to have a work ethic.
See, the problem is I'm sure the word will come up and talk about it. They have to be approved by the judges to be able to go out. They have to be approved by the judges to be able to go out and work. Where's the warden at? Warden, talk about, how we actually have a little bit of a problem just to get the people out in general that we have for situations. that we
Transportation
use.
problems?
It's not that. It's basically, it's about some of them are violent offenders. They just can't be out in the streets. And
I understand, but isn't there some kind of, can't we look at and research some type of program that we can initiate for those that are eligible for outside employment and look to other areas where they can work
We
to help
certainly
train
could
them?
look into that, Commissioner. I was going to say, our first and foremost problem is the average length of stay for the average
It's not
individual in the jail is less than 14 days. That's problematic in and of itself.
Okay.
And as Commissioner O'Malley pointed out, the programs we do have in place, there's a lot of restrictions there for the public safety that are involved.
I understand
with
that.
getting outside clearance.
Okay, well, I appreciate those answers.
Tim, the other thing, real quick, what's longest stay? Because I heard someone say that 5 years at our county prison. We have no one that stays 5 years at the county prison, right?
By law, a sentenced individual can serve time up to 1 day less than 5 years. It's really rare.
It's very rare.
There are cases where it's a very serious case and there's a lot of motions in the court, and the person can actually end up being there for 5 years or more, but that person's
But in
a
the last how many
pretrial
years, I don't
detainee.
think I've seen that in
Yeah,
years.
I haven't seen that in a decade.
What is the longest length of stay we've had?
I know there was one individual that was probably there close to 10 years. 10 years. He
So
had,
what's
he
our-
had
our-
some
our-
murder cases and
What's the average length of stay at our prison?
14 days.
14 days?
Yeah.
Well, how can we implement all these GED programs and stuff like that
That's
then?
one of the difficulties we have to overcome. Yeah. We would be offering those to individuals who are in as parole violators or sentenced, because the unsentenced individual, they go to the preliminary hearing, their bail can get dropped to ROR and they're out the door, or they can post bail at any point in time and get out of jail. So that's one of the difficulties with any programming we offer at the jail.
I was not aware it's a 14-day stay, generally.
It actually might be less.
Average.
You have people that stay longer.
Well, the
you have
most is
people-
30 then, right?
No. That he's just saying, if you average out the amount of people times the amount of time they're there, it's like 14 days, but there could be a person that's there a year.
Okay.
There's one person that might be there for long enough till he gets bailed out, or he might be walking right out the door after OR or bail, and he's gone, so, you know.
Well, I think it's something we should look into a training program for those. I really do, and I think there's enough work outside of the prison that we can complement that program and help them to develop a work ethic if that's the issue. Thank you very much, Warden. The second thing, I have three things altogether. Second thing is in regards to medical care. I'm a nurse by trade, as everyone knows, so I have had lengthy conversations with the physician that's currently over there, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't think it's appropriate, but I have received contributions from him. I'll make that public right now. I feel he's doing, before I even met him, before I knew him or he donated to me, I met with him and went over a lot of the things that I had gotten complaints on, and they were unfounded. So I'm not sure where the complaint is, but I'd be happy to sit with anyone that thinks that there is a complaint on the medical care that's being provided right now, because I would back him up 100%. And it has nothing to do with the campaign donation. It has everything to do with the fact that I'm a nurse. Well, you can laugh if you want, but it has absolutely nothing to do with that, and that's inappropriate. I can't believe a professional is doing that, but okay. And, you know, it's very difficult to have that job to begin with. But he's, in my opinion, doing everything appropriately, so I have no qualms with his care. Third, I would like to initiate a motion to perform a study on the feasibility of privatizing our prison. I think that it's about time. I agree with NEPA prison advocates that reform is beyond necessary, and I think that it's time. It's time that we look at a different route. I'm putting that motion above the board. If anybody wants to second it, great. If not, then it's on the record. Thank you.
Can you delineate what it is that you...
Sure, I'd like just a study to see how it would, the feasibility of privatizing our prison. That's the motion. Just a study, just to see the feasibility of it.
How do you want to fund it?
Well, I think that I would ask the county to fund it, and I would support a funding for that as a county commissioner.
I'm not challenging it, I'm just...
No, I understand.
So everybody can make a...
I think the public would be thrilled to fund something like that, especially if it actually happened. We've had just about enough that we can take of what's happening in the prison.
Okay, so there's a motion to conduct a feasibility study to study the question of privatization of the Lackawanna County Prison. Is that fair?
I agree. There's a Corrections Corp of America, I believe, does that, so I don't know.
I'm articulating your motion the right way, right?
Yes, I believe so,
Okay.
yes. Thank you, Judge.
Is there a second?
Would that include the legalities behind it, obviously? I mean, I know, nothing about the potential privatization of a prison, but, I'd like to get as much information as we can on something like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a lawyer for me, but I think the legal burden still falls upon the county, even if it's stopped. So,
Are there any privatized county prisons in Congo? How much would it cost to conduct this
it'll
study?
probably be,
well,
the study, the cost of the prison could be larger than what we're currently paying, so.
Well, we don't know that. That's what I'm trying to find out. If we did a feasibility study to find out, would we be saving money?
Can I ask you to research and for the next meeting, or in advance of the next meeting, to present us with a proposed cost estimate as to what the feasibility study might be?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay. And I think the district attorney asked, are there any other county prisons in the Commonwealth that are privatized? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not
I know there
aware
are.
of them.
I know they are out of our state. I know that. But I don't know about in Pennsylvania. I would check that.
All right.
But yeah, sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else from any of the members?
I would just like to say that I think it's a very good thing that there's so much interest within our community and some of the groups that are regularly coming to our prison board meetings now. I think it's a good thing for the community, and it's a good thing for the inmates, taxpayers, good thing for everyone that there's so much interest, and our board is open to listening and welcoming anyone who wants to bring information for the benefit of all of us. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.
Thank you.